Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies with your host, Jason Marshall.
Hey everybody, thanks for downloading the show. I'm really excited about my guest today. The season finale of Celebrity Big Brother is this week, so I decided to have another house guest on for the final time this season. It won't be a ton of Big Brother talk because this guy is too interesting to narrow it down to just that. I've talked about him a few times on the podcast, and I can't wait to talk to him. You're going to love him. It's Kevin Schlehuber, right?
That's it's Schlehuber.
Schlehuber,
yeah.
I apologize
for
that.
Try growing up with that name and see what happens. I was running track when I was a kid, and I came in like fifth, and the guy was announcing. He said, "In fifth place, Kevin. Hey, you know who you are. Come on up and get your trophy." He couldn't say my last name.
At
least I have all girls when they get married, they get their name changed, you know?
That's true. That's why I had you on the show, because you got a million stories, and I can't wait to hear a few of them. But first, you were recently diagnosed with cancer. How are you feeling now?
I'm walking right now. It's been 10 weeks. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So they give you three options. I mean, I'll break it down real quick. You're going to have surgery, chemotherapy, or radiation. I took surgery where they removed the whole prostate. Now, with that happening, the cancer is gone because your prostate's gone. But your recovery period and the side effects and the mental aspects of having no prostate, I mean, I don't want to get into it, but literally you can't go in a car for more than a half hour. You have to, you know what I mean? You have to, your prostate's not there. So there's a lot of intricacies that people don't understand. I mean, there's no cancer in that prostate, don't worry, because it's been removed. But the side effects have been very difficult. Much more difficult than I anticipated.
I'm glad to hear that you're cancer-free, though. That's really great.
Yeah.
I don't really want to bring this up, but there was a recent controversy regarding a fundraiser for you that allegedly raised $10,000, but allegedly only gave you $500.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it actually speaks for itself, but I have nothing. I have nothing really to say on that subject. I apologize for that.
I 100% understand that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You have a very unique story about how you ended up on Big Brother. Do you mind telling the listeners about that?
That's a true story, man. I went down to meet my daughter. She worked downtown in Boston in the aquarium. So she was going to be like 2 hours late. I can remember the date because it was like one of the coldest days in March. It was March 22nd. So across from where the aquarium is called Quincy Market. It's almost like the social center of Boston. It's like a bunch of pubs and a bunch of things, So I went over there. It was the only thing open was because it was so cold, and it's really more a summer place. Was a place called Ned Divine. There was a long line of kids all the way down the stairs, all the way out. And I was dressed up, and I'm like a real tall guy, so I walked ahead of everybody. And I walked in, and these girls came up to me and said, "We trying out for the show?" And I was like, "What?" And they went and got the guy who was there to pick people out, Chris, and he came over to me and said, "Do you want to?" He poked at me and said, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Who are you?" And he said, "Well, he's having people audition for Big Brother." And I said, "Okay." He talked to me for a minute, and then he asked me to come back the next day. So I got home and I told my daughters, who were like super fans, and they were like, "Come on, you're just saying." I said, "No, I'm telling you." And they said, "Well, maybe you should start watching it." So then they sent me out to LA, and now they started believing me. My kids started believing me. So they were like, "Get up here and watch it. You have to watch it." And I literally didn't watch it. I didn't know who Paul was when he came in the house. So, I mean, if you don't know who Paul is, you're not a Big Brother fan. So that's just how I get on. He was casting in Boston. I walked over because it was too cold to stay outside, and I went inside, and it was 500 kids there trying out for the show. And I was like, had to be easily the oldest person. I mean, by 20 years. And I don't know. He just liked my the way I just came in, I guess.
I promised up front there wouldn't be much Big Brother talk, so I didn't mean to even come up with a second question, but I have to ask, since you didn't know what the show was, what kind of an extreme lifestyle change was that?
I have 7 kids. Like, for example, even tonight, 4 of my children have moved out of the house, and I have a niece who lives, so I have 8 kids in the house. 4 are gone, and still tonight, my son will have 3 friends over. My daughter will have 2 friends over. There'll probably still be 11 people in my house tonight. and that's before them moving out. So I always had, and I grew up in a big, big family we grew up inside the inner city in the 3 bedrooms, you know what I mean, the triple decker houses.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one apartment with 12 of us in it.
Wow.
So I basically just got in there, and I didn't realize, I obviously knew you had to play competitions and things like that, but I didn't realize how they would break into certain groups and they would be talking behind your back. I didn't understand that, but you know, I navigated it through and I made it as far. I don't think I could have made it further because, you know, I just didn't fit in because they were so much younger than me. I mean, they were 22 and 23 and they were just kids.
I do a thing on the show where I have a guest from my last episode ask a question from my next guest without knowing who my next guest will be.
Okay.
Here's a question from my last guest.
Can I ask who your last guest was?
You're not going to believe it. As a matter of fact, I'll just let you hear who it is.
So my question is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately myself and pondering of other people, but never have asked, and I don't know why. But I'm curious to know what your favorite American accent is, United States. Maybe we could include like the southern border of Canada because it's close enough, versus your least favorite.
Oh, I know what she's going to say. Her least favorite. No, she's going to love her Boston accent. She's going to love. I know what she said. Elena said that she loves the southern accent of a southern man and the boots and everything. But deep down, she loves those Boston accents. Trust me. Elena loves the Boston accent. I guess I didn't realize until I really didn't travel much because I was having children since I was 23, and we didn't leave our neighborhood much. And I went down south to, my brother had moved to Kentucky, and I went down there, and I went into McDonald's, and I ordered, I said, I went up to the thing, I had like a long leather on, always like my cousin Vinny. And I went up and I said, listen, I have 2 plain cheeseburgers, a fry, and a tonic. They just dropped their mouth dropped. No one knew what I was saying. They like called everyone else mouth back. They thought like we were doing a show Punk'd or something like that. And they were like, listen to this guy talk, will you? And I was like, you make fun of the way I talk. There's like millions of us who talk like me. But I don't know. I would say she said Southern man, and her worst accent is probably the Northeast. Am I right?
That's right. What are yours?
I don't know. I like everyone's. I don't know. I like a Southern accent. I think it's beautiful. I think they're cool. And I like the way the Canadians talk. They're pretty cool. And I didn't know the West Coast, they're just laid back. You know, it's much more laid back. Where we live, it's just, everyone's just put in one little area. Out there, it seems so open and it's different accents. But in the bottom line is everyone's the same deep down anyhow. It's just the way they talk. It's just a matter of, I don't know. I think they get amused when I say car and things like that. That I don't say they are. They say CAH or something. But I knew Elena would say a Southern guy. I knew it because she's from Texas. I just spoke to her yesterday. She's a sweetheart.
Yes, she is. She's a really nice lady.
She is. She really is, man. It's tough. You got to understand. You put 16 people in there. 9 of them were under 24 years old. They've been watching the show since they were 4. So all of them, I was on season 19. So if you're 24, you've been watching the show since you were 5. You get in there, you want to do the best you can. You know, I didn't know the criteria and the live feed stuff. So all of these young girls and boys, they start breaking into showmances, which they think that you have to do because that was what helped people in past shows. And then they align themselves with different people, and then they just get caught up, and it's so hard. I think it's hard, really hard for an older person, but I think it's much more traumatic. Like, I have no animosity. I don't dislike no one on my show, and I mean that. I'm not just saying that. I don't have no dislike. I mean, what am I gonna? I'm not gonna be like calling a 22-year-old girl up and say, hey, do you want to go out to dinner? So, but I mean, I have no animosity. It was a game show. We were on a game show. It was just a long game show. You know what I mean? And like the younger kids, it's so personal, and then they take personal on their social media, and it just becomes personal. And I don't know. Everyone wants to be a star, man. Flying the family stone saying it. Everybody is a star. They want to be a star, but I think it's much more difficult to throw a 21-year-old in there, and they just, you know, I was in there 86 days. You realize when I left Boston, right? My son was a junior in high school. When I came back. And I didn't get back to the end of September because I stayed next week in L.A. He was a senior in high school. Wow. And I never got a chance. I would go in the first 2 weeks. I would go into the. It's the only time I went in. I was like, "What's going on back east?" And their answer was, "No news is good news." Because on my season, the only other one who had a child was Jason, and his baby was 1 year old. And apparently Cody did, but he didn't want no one to know. I literally had 7. One was a senior. I missed her prom. I missed her graduation. And one was a junior. When I got home, one was in college and one was a senior. So I had heard nothing from June 12th to September 22nd. No, one single word at all from any one of them about what was going on back home at all. So tell me, that's how difficult that was. So, I mean, to get talked about by your kids, it really never bothered me, honestly. I mean, when I get out, my daughters would show me clips, and I said, I don't really care. I think the pressure got to them. It's really a pressure cooker. Look at the celebrities now. You're watching Celebrity Big Brother, correct?
Yeah.
They've been in there only 20 days, and they're losing their mind. They've only been there 20 days, and they've been in there in the winter, where it's nice and cool out. Like when we would do the comps, it'd be 120 degrees, and they get tablets, they get cards, they get their laundry done, they get food made, they get wine, beer. Thank God we didn't have that. Oh my God! Imagine if we had wine and beer. Some people self-evicted quick. I can tell you that much.
One thing I always did like about Big Brother when you were on were the stories that you would tell in the neighborhood that you grew up in, because I'm one of the people that would watch the live feeds, and I would see you walk around talking to Jason about him. Do you have one or two that you could tell on the show before you go?
Sure. So in my neighborhood, right, me and I had a guy named Big Lou. Big Lou ran like the neighborhood. My father and his friends, they were different eras. So Big Lou was an older guy. I was maybe 10 or 12 years old, 1973. And again, I'm going to mention Sly and the Family Stone was in concert up in the neighborhood in Roxbury, and it was in White Stadium. So I go up there with Big Lou, and Big Lou's a huge guy, man. And Sly apparently doesn't show up, so everyone's waiting for the concert. And I'm like a young, real little skinny guy. I was so skinny, if you pull like the drain plug in the tub, I would go down the drain. So you couldn't pull the plug, So he didn't show up, and they were screaming and yelling and ripping things apart. So Big Lou put me on the handlebars of his bike, and we rode home. We had to ride down Eggleston Station to Dudley and up to JP back over to Mission Hill. So I went to see Sly and the Family Stone at a concert, and he didn't show up. Apparently, he had a reputation of missing a lot of concerts in those days. So that's one of my neighborhood stories. It was a lot of fun, man. You got to understand, every one of my neighborhood we grew up in a poor neighborhood, so no one knew that we were poor, because everyone was. So it was fun. Everyone got to everyone. I can name, if you name the streets of my neighborhood, I can name the houses and the families that were in every house on my neighborhood. It was great times.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that makes everybody closer, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You never know what you're missing. And then when you get out in the world and you find out there's a whole big world out there, it's hard, because you're used to your neighborhood. You're used to everything worked around and predicated around like neighborhood and the neighborhood bar and the gas station and the barber shop and the church. Everything was worked out of there. And I talked about it all the time.
You got one more?
So, okay. I'm going to tell you a real good one. So you got to remember, in 1972, there was Bruce Lee was a big deal. Do you know who Bruce Lee is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, karate, Fist of Fury, Chinese Connection, Enter the Dragon. So Bruce Lee came out, and everyone wanted to be karate guy, taekwondo guy. So we started wearing karate uniforms around, and didn't even go to karate school, and slippers. We thought we were like Bruce Lee. Everyone was like breaking pickets off the fence, and you were chopping with your hand, and you made nunchucks out of a broomstick with a screw and a chain, and you made nunchucks. So me and Ronnie, we joined a karate course down in, it's the theater district now in Boston. But back then it was called the Combat Zone. And it was called the Combat Zone for a good reason. You just didn't go down there. It was a part of Boston that wasn't a neighborhood. It was like the people from all other neighborhoods came there. And it was a really tough section of Boston. So me and Ronnie joined the Taekwondo. On Saturday morning, we would take the train down. We were 11 years old. We would go down to the Combat Zone, and on the 6th floor with the karate class. So we go up to the karate class, and we're stretching, getting ready for the teacher to come out. And in those days, you call the teacher sensei. So we have our teacher, and we go out onto the fire escape, and we look down, and our teacher's motorcycle is getting stolen.
Oh.
So we like, teacher, someone's stealing your motorcycle. So me and Ronnie and everyone else in the class are looking now from the fire escape. But we're 6 stories up. So the teacher runs down and we're like, oh man, someone's going to get a beating here. This guy messed with the wrong guy. So the teacher gets in front of the guy he's got his motorcycle in gear. You know, you put it in gear to roll it away. And the karate guy gets in a karate stance and the guy, bang, knocked my teacher out cold. Me and Ronnie look at each other. Listen, we look at each other. We hand our uniforms in and go back to our neighborhood. The guy who stole the motorcycle beat up my karate teacher. So we should have got lessons off the guy who stole the motorcycle.
That's a great story.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. I can remember it. And then we got home and we were like, we would wear the karate uniform. And they're like, listen, don't you go to karate school no more? We're like, no, our teacher got beat up. They're like, what do you mean? I said, someone tried to steal his motorcycle. He went down to defend himself in the motorcycle, and the guy knocked him out. So we were looking to take lessons from the other guys, you know? Yeah. That's
a great story. Did you ever find the other guy to get lessons from him?
No, I don't know. He's probably up there. She's probably doing time. It was a long, that was what, man, 47 years ago. That's unbelievable. Time flies. I'm telling you. Everyone out there, enjoy yourself. Enjoy your life. Time flies so fast.
That is very true. And unfortunately, time has flown now, and I know you have to go. I want to thank you for being on the show. Is there anything
Hey, man,
you'd like
thank
to
you.
promote?
Call me anytime. You have my number.
If
you're lonely and you need a story at night, just hit me up. I'll tell you a good story. All right?
All right. Thank you very much. And where can people find
tell
you
your
online?
Tell your wife and everyone I said hi, and I wish you luck with your podcast and everything that you do. God bless.
All right. Thank you very much. You have a great day.
All right, pal. Take care.
All right, everybody. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I'm pretty sure that I had the most fun of anybody, but hope you had a good time. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back.
It's facts. Wouldn't you like to know all things about wood?
Hi, this is Larry Woodstone from Wood Enthusiasts, and we're just bringing to you a couple fun facts. And today's fun fact is it's about cedar planks. I don't know if you knew this or not, but you could take cedar planks and you can tuck them under your armpits. And what we like to do is we like to take these cedar planks and we tuck them underneath our armpits and we tie a really tight rope. We tie a tight rope around our arms. And then you can soak yourself in the bath. And that's something fun that we like to do, and I hope you find as much joy in it as we do. So go ahead and try that. Get a few cedar planks and tuck them under your armpits and just wrap a rope around your arms.
Do you love all things wood? Follow the Wood Enthusiasts at Wood Enthusiasts on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Want to contact the show? Send an email to jason@wedon'thavecookies.com or call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail.
This is Mark Jansen from Big Brother 19 and MarkJansenFitness.com, and you are listening to We Don't Have Cookies.
Really happy that I got to talk to Kevin. He's a great guy, and I've wanted to have him on the show for a long time. We've been talking about it for a few months now, and I hope you guys liked him because I want to have him back when he has more time to tell some stories, or maybe he can even have his own monthly segment called Storytime with Kevin. Speaking of monthly segments, I'm going to try to do something new called the Honor Roll. Instead of giving shout-outs every week, I'm going to do it at the beginning of the month for people who retweet the show or share it on Facebook on a regular basis, or do something cool like send in a segment, voicemail, something like that. So I've been keeping track for this month, and in March, I'll give out the first people to make the honor roll. I got a call on Monday while I was asleep to tell me that they were on their way to my house to put up my new storm door. They didn't have time to put it up when the exterior door got put in my living room, and I couldn't be happier with it. It's cut down noise a lot, which is good because that's the room I record in. And now all the doors in the house have been replaced. I'm especially happy to get that one done because before we couldn't use it at all. And it's nice to be able to go out that door when I want to. But then on Thursday, I got a call from the window installers saying that they could put in my window the next day. That was in my living room too, and it's been covered up since before we moved in. The reason it took so long is because I was thinking about turning, I think I brought this up before, but I think I was going to turn the window into a patio door and then fill in where the other door is and put a window there, but it was just way too expensive. I would have to move the furnace vents around and stuff like that. It's just way too much hassle. And since we are talking about my house, it's time for neighbor news. This week in neighbor news, the lights are down and the mailbox is up. For anybody out there who is tuning in for the first time, my neighbor had lights up on the railings of his porch since Christmas. They have been up all the way into February. His mailbox was down for a few days, just laying in my yard. So that's what we're talking about. And anybody out there who may have had a betting pool going on at work, both happened on the same day, so it was a tie. Pretty slow in neighbor news this week. That's the only thing that happened other than a tornado hit my neighborhood. It was a very small one, but it did a lot of damage, and the local news was in my tiny little farm town for 2 days covering it all. I got a lot of stuff to pick up in my yard. I spent time yesterday trying to work on it. Got a good day or two left out there. That's one of the problems with having so many trees in such a big yard, I guess. But, yeah, I could have been worse. There was a guy who was out in his barn when it happened, and the barn got completely destroyed while he was in it. I can't even imagine what that guy was going through, even though I heard him talk about it for 2 days on the news. But I am extremely grateful because it could have been worse. Nothing happened to my house. Nothing happened to my vehicles. It was crazy. And what is even crazier is I was recording an interview that I was going to have on today's episode with an Irish comedian named Frank Cronin, who walked from San Francisco to Los Angeles to raise awareness for the homeless when it happened. And I'm wondering if I was going to be homeless while it was going on. We started to get into the show and something happened. The recording got messed up. We had to restart everything. Then his phone was cutting out. The audio changed. So we had to redo a question or two. Then I heard something that sounded like my furnace, but louder. Didn't pay much attention at first. Then it kept getting louder. And I looked at my vent wondering what was going on. And it sounded like there was a tractor on the other side of the wall. I leaned back in my chair. I looked out the window and shit was going everywhere. I mean, the trees were just swaying like crazy. There was stuff flying around. My stomach sank. And I was trying to figure out what to do because I didn't want to stop the interview because we already had so many problems, but I also did not want to die. Next thing I know, while I'm trying to figure out what to do, it was over. It only lasted maybe 30 seconds. So I'm pretty sure I was the first person in history to record a podcast during a tornado, and you will hear that interview next week. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it on the recording or not. I haven't listened back to it yet. But it all happened so quick. Like I said, it was like 30 seconds. There was no warning. I was watching the news before I got on the phone with them because it had been raining all day. And there was just a flood warning at the top of the screen. And that was it. And where I live, there's usually sirens that go off when something like that's about to happen. They didn't even have time for that. It was one of the most humbling experiences of my life, to say the least. And now that I've told you about that strange day, it's time for strange days for the rest of the week for all of us. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, Monday, February 11th is Clean Out Your Computer Day, so take it apart and give it a good wash in the bathtub. It is also Make a Friend Day and Don't Cry Over Spilled Milk Day, so impress your friends, pour out some milk on the floor, and stand over it like a boss. Tuesday is Darwin Day. Wonder what that'll be next year, if it's going to evolve to something else by then. Wednesday is World Radio Day. Thursday is Ferris Wheel Day and Library Lovers Day, so take that special someone in your life to your local library. Friday is Gumdrop Day. Goody goody. Saturday is Do a Grouch a Favor Day, and Sunday is Random Act of Kindness Day. All right, guys, it's been a very busy, stressful week for me, so I'm ending the show early. I'll be back next Monday with comedian Frank Cronin.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review. See you next time.
Oh man, someone's going to get a beating here.